Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Eric.
And
We
we
gotta
gotta
eat
eat
them
them
all.
all. So today we are cooking Spearow. Spearow is obviously a very large bird. However, they're only about chicken size. For reference, this is a typical chicken breast, and this is obviously the full breast of a Spearow. But you can just see the size difference there.
They're very muscular. They're also very aggressive. They're very territorial. They fly in large flocks. They live in areas that are rocky, like the mountains and ravines. And because they're also very aggressive and they're very skilled with their flight, they're pretty gamey too. So today we're going to be doing a pot pie. It'll kind of help hide that gaminess a little bit, but should offer some unique flavors to the pot pie as well.
This is also going to be a very meaty pot pie because, as you can see, this is about 2 pounds of breast meat, which is a lot of meat for a single pot pie. But we're really excited to try it out. It's a tried and true recipe for us that we usually make with chicken, and today we're doing it with Spearow. So let's see how it kind of turns out. So we're actually going to start with a cold pan. Our first step here is to just combine some ingredients and get it boiling. So first we're going to throw in that 2 pounds of Spearow breast meat all cut up. Slide that right into our pan. Ooh, that's a lot of meat. Then we have some carrots and celery. And then we just have some frozen mixed vegetables. You can use just peas or carrots or extra carrots, whatever you like. We like a lot of vegetables, so we just go with the full mixed veg. And then you're going to put enough water in this to cover it. So it's going to be probably about 2 to 3 cups of water. And then we're just gonna go ahead and get this boiling. Once it's boiling, you want it to boil for about 15 minutes. That'll get your chicken pretty well cooked up. It'll get those carrots softened down, and we'll be ready for our next step. Now that this is boiled for about 15 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and get it drained. I know what a lot of you are probably thinking is like, basically we've made a stock, why would we drain this off? Is my personal belief that between breast meat and the handful of vegetables we put in here, there is not enough flavor in here to consider it a stock. So we're going to use an actual store-bought stock to make our roux. But first things first, let's get this drained. Now that that's drained off, we're going to go ahead and use the same pan to make our sauce and roux for that. So I start with quite a bit of butter and get that melted down. And we're going to saute some onions in that. We've got our onion cooked down a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and toss our flour in. We use whole wheat flour, and you do want to cook that down a little bit. Raw flour is actually can make you sick, so it's really important to cook your flour a little bit. You want to make sure that you get all that butter just mixed up in it to a nice thick gravy. And then we're going to season that with some salt and just a little bit of pepper. You want to make sure that gets all mixed until it's a nice thick paste. So now we've got that well heated and mixed together down a little bit. We have some chicken broth and half and half. And we just want to slowly add that. We don't want it to clump because that will clump up if you don't mix it in gently. So I'm using, like I said, store-bought chicken broth, but if you do want to use a Spearow broth, if you're, say, hunting your own Spearow, then you can use the carcass and make your own broth. And that, I think, would pair really nicely with this and really bump up that wild flavor in there. And then I'm using half and half for this. You can use just regular milk or half and half or even heavy cream. What you decide to do will depend on how quickly it takes for your gravy to thicken up and also how well your pot pie will set up when it's done. And I like half and half. It's a good mid range between the milk and heavy cream. That's also what I happen to have on hand. So we're going to get this all stirred and let it thicken up a little bit before we start preparing our pot pie. So we're going to go ahead and get our pie actually prepared. You don't have to spray your pie tin, but I like to. And then I do not mess with trying to make pie crusts. I pre-buy mine. So easy to just roll out and prepare. So you want to get that into your whatever pie tin you're using. I have this nice glass one. I like it. And make sure that you leave a little lip there for the top crust to attach to whenever we get this all put together. I like to make sure I don't have any bubbles in the bottom. Since we have that all laid out, we are going to put our meat and vegetable mixture in. And that is a lot of Spearow meat. This is going to be a hearty pot pie. So after the boil, sometimes the meat pieces like to stick together. I like to break them up, spread them out a little bit. And then we want to put our gravy over this, and I'm going to need my assistant for that.
Okay. Here we go.
So then we want to make sure that we spread our gravy around, make sure it gets into all those crevices. It will bake down in there really nicely. But that is a heaping pot pie.
It's going to be very meaty.
And then lastly, we're going to put our other pie crust over the top. I don't do any kind of fancy edges on this. I just make sure it's pushed together and I cut off the excess. If you like crimped edges, then do that to your heart's content. Before this actually goes in the oven, you want to make sure that you cut slits in the top to release some of that air vent. So I just give her a couple pokes. Then in the oven it goes for about 40 minutes. So this has been cooking for about 30 minutes, and we're going to check and see how that crust is coming along. Looks pretty good on the edges, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. For pot pie, we're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes so that we can let that gravy kind of stiffen up a little bit and make it a little easier to pull out of the pie tin. Well, the crust on this pot pie looks amazing, so let's cut into it and see how it turned out.
Now, something else about Spearow, they're a wild game. They will flock in the hundreds. And if you allow their populations to get that high, they can get quite dangerous. So there is a hunting season for them. And you can get a license and go hunt them. And that's where most meat for Spearow meat comes from.
Yep, there's no real reason to farm them because there are so many in the wild. So it is specifically a wild game. And we got these from our butcher. So to go along with our pot pie today, we got a Caesar salad. I just bought a pre-made one. But I never know what to serve with a pot pie. I thought a salad would be nice. I never managed to get a clean slice out, so let's see how I do.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes today, huh? That's not too bad at all.
Pretty good. Extra bits. See how that Spearow turned out. Got some salad on this plate too.
It's okay.
So like I said, for us, this is a tried and true recipe. We typically make it with chicken and never have any problems with it. Let's see how that came out with that Spearow. Mmm. You get a little extra flavor, that gaminess in there.
Yeah.
Wonderfully tender. really juicy.
I don't mind it. It's actually really good.
Mm-hmm. Very fresh. I love that. So
Awesome.
big win today.
Oh yeah.
The family's going to love this one. We'll probably keep it in the regular rotation. Spearow was a little bit more expensive since it was a wild game meat that we had to get from our butcher, but I think it's definitely worth the upgrade in flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Join us next week when we're going to be cooking up some Ekans. Oh, it is just absolutely gorgeous today.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful out there.
So glad we came out. We need to do this more often.
It's good exercise.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is that a sparrow nest?
Yeah, I think it is.
Do you think there's eggs in it?
Maybe. I'm gonna go get them.
Oh no, Eric, that's way too dangerous.
Hey, have you seen the price of eggs lately?
Well, be careful.
I bet it's full of eggs. Free eggs for us. It is. Here. Here's one. Okay.
Whoa.
Here's another 2.
Looks just like the ones we get from the store.
Yeah, they do. Did you hear that? Oh crap.
Quick.
Run!